I can see everything, he whispered, his voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. The quantum structure of matter, the flow of energy through space, the mathematical foundations of reality itself. He sat up and looked at his hands. As the scientists watched in amazement, his fingers began to phase in and out of normal space, becoming translucent and then solid again. How do you feel? Dr. Torres asked, monitoring readings that defied every law of physics he knew. Like I've been living in a shadow my whole life, and someone just turned on the lights, Rex replied, and I can sense something else. The alien ships orbiting our colonies. Their technology is advanced, but it's still bound by the same quantum laws that govern everything else. President Vasquez's voice came through the laboratory speakers. Captain Morrison, we have 54 hours before the hegemony deadline. Are you ready to test your abilities against alien technology? Rex stood up, his body flickering between solid matter and pure energy. Ma'am, I think it's time to show the galaxy what happens when you try to cage humanity. As the first Zeus human prepared to face an alien fleet, the quantum chamber began preparing for its second volunteer. Humanity's greatest gamble was about to begin, and the fate of the species hung in the balance. The Zeus protocol activation. The US Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 186F system, and Captain Rex Morrison felt the alien ships before he saw them. His consciousness, now existing as both matter and quantum energy, could perceive the electromagnetic signatures of the hegemony fleet like a symphony of hostile intent. Zeus 1, this is Admiral Park. Are you reading? The enemy positions. Rex's voice came through the communication system, though his physical body remained in the quantum chamber. Back on Earth, his consciousness could project anywhere in the galaxy instantaneously. 8 ships in defensive formation. Admiral, there. Weapons are charging some kind of exotic matter cannon. Energy output suggests they could vaporize our entire fleet. Understood. Execute Zeus protocol. Show them what humanity can do. Rex's quantum consciousness materialized in the space between the human and alien fleets, his form visible as a figure of pure blue energy against the star field. The hegemony ships immediately detected his presence, their sensors struggling to classify something that existed partially outside normal space-time. Ambassador, Vexstar's voice crackled across all frequencies. Unknown energy entity, identify yourself immediately. I am Captain Rex Morrison, United Earth Colonial Defense Force. I'm here to discuss your ultimatum. Impossible. No known species possesses quantum consciousness technology. You are either an advanced AI or a deception. Rex smiled, though his energy form had no physical features to display the expression. Your scans will tell you I'm human consciousness in quantum form. We call it Project Zeus, and it's about to change everything. To demonstrate, Rex reached out with his consciousness and touched the nearest hegemony ship. The 15 vessel shuddered as Rex's quantum awareness penetrated its hull, analyzing its construction down to the molecular level. The ship was a marvel of engineering, built from materials that humanity couldn't even name, but Rex could see every weakness in its quantum structure. Your hull is composed of crystallized dark matter held together by exotic field generators, Rex announced. Very impressive. But watch what happens when I adjust the quantum resonance frequency. The hegemony ship's lights flickered as Rex's consciousness interfaced with its power systems. He wasn't attacking, merely demonstrating that their technology was no longer beyond human reach. The ship's defensive shields fluctuated, its weapon systems powered down, and its engines went offline. This is impossible, Vexstar transmitted. his mechanical voice carrying notes of genuine confusion. Your species barely achieved faster-than-light travel. How do you possess quantum manipulation abilities? Because you underestimated us, Rex replied. Humanity doesn't just adapt to survive. We transcend limitations that other species accept as absolute. Your containment protocols assume that technological development follows predictable patterns. But humans don't follow patterns. The other 7 hegemony ships began advancing, their exotic matter cannons charging to full power. Rex's consciousness expanded, touching each vessel simultaneously. He could have disabled them all instantly, but that would have made him no better than the species that had oppressed others throughout galactic history. Instead, Rex opened a communication channel to every ship in the system, broadcasting on frequencies that reached directly into their command centers. My name is Rex Morrison, and I want to tell you about the species you're trying to contain. Humans have been fighting for survival since we first stood upright on an African savanna. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed other species. We've turned our greatest weaknesses into strengths. On the bridge of the lead hegemony ship, Ambassador Vexter stood before a council of representatives from 8 different species. The hegemony had maintained galactic order for over 50,000 years, containing aggressive species before they could threaten established civilizations. But they had never encountered anything like what they faced now. The humans' quantum consciousness is stable, reported Science Administrator Kethman. A crystalline being whose species had been among the first to join the hegemony. Our models predicted it would collapse within minutes, but it's actually growing stronger. How is this possible? Demanded War Leader Vexmore, whose species had been contained by the hegemony 12,000 years ago and had served as enforcers. Ever since, we've monitored 47 species. None developed quantum consciousness capabilities. Vexter studied the readings from their encounter with the human consciousness. Perhaps that's precisely why they succeeded. The other species we contained accepted their limitations. They adapted within the boundaries we set. But humans refused to accept boundaries, completed diplomat Sci-Fi, whose species had been observing Earth for decades. We've watched them transform their entire world, leave their planet when it became overcrowded, and now they've transcended the limitations of physical existence itself. On the quantum plane, Rex was experiencing something unprecedented. His consciousness was expanding beyond the confines of his individual identity, connecting with the quantum matrix that Dr. Torres had spent 15 years perfecting. He could feel other human minds beginning to undergo the Zeus transformation back on Earth. Dr. Lisa Wong, the project's lead neuroscientist, had volunteered for the second transformation. Her consciousness joined Rex's in the quantum realm, bringing, with her specialized knowledge of alien psychology and xenobiology, Rex, I can access the hegemony's communication networks, Lisa reported. They're not just discussing us, they're questioning their entire containment doctrine. What do you mean? The Hegemony Council is debating whether their policy of containing expanding species has actually prevented galactic evolution. Some members think they've been holding back natural development for 50,000 years. Rex felt his consciousness touch something unexpected in the quantum realm. Another presence, ancient and vast, but somehow familiar. It was the collective consciousness of every species the hegemony had ever contained, their development stunted, but their potential still burning like stars waiting to be born. Lisa, I think I understand now. The hegemony isn't evil. They're afraid. They've been so focused on preventing another aggressive species from dominating the galaxy that they've forgotten progress requires risk. General Robert Kim's voice crackled. Through the quantum communication network, Zeus 1, Zeus 2, we have a problem. Long-range sensors show hegemony reinforcements approaching. 50 ships, ETA, for hours. Rex's consciousness returned to the space between the fleets. But now he was joined by Lisa and 12 other Zeus-enhanced humans. Together, they formed a constellation of quantum awareness that surrounded the hegemony ships. Ambassador. Vexstar. Rex transmitted, "We need to discuss something more important than your ultimatum. Your species, and every other species in the hegemony, they were all contained too, weren't they?" There was a long pause before Vexstar responded. "My species, the Corventhi, were contained 18,000 years ago. We had begun expanding. Beyond our home system when the hegemony arrived, we were given the same choice you face now, and you chose to serve them instead of fighting. We chose survival, as did all the others. The hegemony offered us purpose, protection, and peace. We've maintained galactic stability for millennia." Lisa's consciousness projected itself near Rex's, her voice carrying the weight of her xenobiological expertise. "But at what cost? You've prevented war by preventing growth. You've maintained peace by maintaining stagnation. How many species could have achieved quantum consciousness if you hadn't contained them? How many would have become conquerors instead?" War Leader Vexmore demanded. "That's the wrong question," Rex replied. "The right question is, how many could have become something greater than either conquerors or subjects?" The Galactic Ultimatum Commander Sarah Chen floated in the observation deck of the UES Pathfinder, watching the blue-green marble of Kepler 186f rotate slowly beneath her ship. After 18 months of travel through the void, she had finally found what Earth desperately needed: a perfect world. The planet's oceans sparkled like jewels under its red dwarf star, and the atmospheric readings showed breathable air, stable weather patterns, and no signs of intelligent life. "Commander, the mineral scans are complete," reported Lieutenant Jake Morrison from the bridge. "Abundant water, fertile soil, and enough rare earth elements to support a colony of 50,000 people within the first decade." Sarah smiled as she activated her communication array. This would be the message that changed everything for humanity. Earth's population had reached 15 billion, and the existing 23 colonies were already straining under the weight of immigration. Kepler 186f would be humanity's greatest discovery since faster-than-light travel. "Earth Control, this is Commander Chen aboard the Pathfinder. We have confirmed Kepler 186f as a class colonization candidate, beginning detailed survey protocols and recommending immediate colonial fleet deployment." As she finished her transmission, the ship's proximity alarms began screaming. Sarah rushed to the bridge, where her crew was staring at the main display in shock. Massive shapes were materializing around the star system, ships so large they dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. "Ma'am, we're reading 8 vessels, each approximately 15 kilometers in length," Morrison reported, his voice tight with fear. "They just appeared out of nowhere. No warp signatures, no energy trails. It's like they stepped out of another dimension." The largest ship positioned itself directly between the Pathfinder and Kepler 186f. Its hull was a flowing mixture of metal and what looked like living crystal, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to communicate in some alien language. The other 7 ships formed a perfect sphere around the entire system. A communication signal pierced through their systems, bypassing their encryption and broadcasting directly to the bridge. The voice that emerged was deep, mechanical, but somehow carried the weight of ancient authority. "Human vessel, You are in violation of Galactic Containment Protocol 7 Alpha. I am Ambassador Vexstar of the Hegemony Council. Your species has been designated for territorial restriction. You will immediately cease all expansion activities and withdraw to your current colonial boundaries. Sarah found her voice, though her hands trembled slightly as she activated the communication array. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earth, Colonial Survey Corps. We come in peace and detected no intelligent life in this system. We're simply seeking new homes for our growing population. Your intentions are irrelevant, Vexstar replied coldly. Humanity has expanded to 23 star systems in less than 2 centuries. This rate of growth matches the profile of aggressive, expansionist species. The hegemony has determined that your race poses a potential threat to galactic stability. We're not aggressive, Sarah protested. We're explorers, scientists, families looking for new opportunities. We've never attacked another species. The Corvani said the same thing before they consumed 700 worlds, Vexstar responded, as did the Brightok before they enslaved 43 species. The hegemony exists to prevent such catastrophes. You are the 47th species. To be contained, most accepted their restrictions peacefully, and those who didn't, Sarah asked, though she dreaded the answer. They learnt the consequences of defying the will of the galaxy's protectors. The communication line went silent for a moment before Vexstar spoke again. You have 72 hours to contact your leadership and begin withdrawal from all systems. Beyond your original 12 colonies, colonial ships approaching any restricted systems will be destroyed without warning. As the massive alien ships took defensive positions throughout the system, Sarah's mind raced. She had to get word back to Earth immediately. The journey would take 3 weeks at maximum acceleration, but Earth needed to know what humanity was facing. Morrison, plot a course for Earth maximum burn, and get me a connection to Admiral Park at Colonial Defense Command. While her crew prepared for the journey home, Sarah stared at the alien fleet through the viewport. The ships were beautiful in their alien design, but they represented something terrible, the end of humanity's dreams among the stars. The quantum communication array finally connected to Earth, and Admiral Jackson Park's weathered face appeared. On the screen, behind him, Sarah could see the controlled chaos of the Colonial Defense Force headquarters. Commander Chen, your preliminary report caused quite a stir here. Are you certain about these numbers? 8 ships, each 15 kilometers long, Admiral. They've positioned themselves around the entire system and claim to represent something called the Hegemony Council. They're demanding we withdraw from 11 of our colonies. Admiral Park's expression darkened. That would mean abandoning over 3 million colonists. The logistics alone would be impossible, not to mention the political nightmare. Admiral, there's something else. They mentioned being the 47th species to be contained. This isn't their first time doing this. Understood. I'm patching you through to President Vasquez. She's calling an emergency session of the United Earth Council. President Alina Vasquez appeared on screen, her usually composed demeanor showing cracks of stress. Commander Chen, I need you to tell me honestly, can we fight these ships? Sarah looked at the alien vessels surrounding them, each one bristling with energy, weapons, and defensive systems beyond human understanding. Ma'am, our entire colonial defense fleet wouldn't last 10 minutes against one of those ships. They have technology we can't even comprehend. Then we have 72 hours to find a solution, President Vasquez said grimly. Commander, get back to Earth as fast as possible. We need every piece of data you can gather about these hegemony ships. As the Pathfinder accelerated toward Earth, Sarah noticed something troubling. Long-range sensors were detecting similar energy signatures around other human colonies. The aliens hadn't just surrounded Kepler 186f, they had surrounded humanity itself, back on Earth, in a facility buried 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Michael Torres was having the most important conversation of his career. The quantum physics laboratory around him hummed with experimental equipment that officially didn't exist, part of a research program that had been classified. Beyond Black. Dr. Torres, we need to know, is Project Zeus operational? President Vasquez asked via encrypted communication. Michael looked at his team of 12 scientists, all of whom had dedicated the last 15 years to a project that seemed like science fiction. Ma'am, we've had theoretical success, but we've never attempted a full-scale implementation. The risks are enormous. Explain it to me in simple terms, Doctor. Project Zeus is based on the premise that human consciousness can be digitized and uploaded into a quantum matrix. Once in that state, the consciousness can manipulate matter and energy at the subatomic level. Essentially, we're talking about turning humans into beings of pure quantum energy while retaining their personality and memories. And the risks: complete dissolution of consciousness, permanent brain damage, or worse. We've run computer simulations, but we've never tested it on a living human being. President Vasquez was quiet for a long moment. How long would you need to prepare for a live test? Given the circumstances, we could be ready in 60 hours. But ma'am, we have no idea if this will work or if it could even be weaponized against advanced alien technology. Doctor, humanity is about to be caged like animals. We need to explore every option, no matter how dangerous. As the communication ended, Michael looked at his team. They were about to attempt something that would either save humanity or destroy. The volunteers who underwent the process. The quantum chamber at the center of the laboratory seemed to pulse with potential energy, waiting for its first human subject. Captain Rex Morrison had volunteered for dangerous missions before, but nothing compared to this. The younger brother of Lieutenant Jake Morrison aboard the Pathfinder, Rex had always been the more reckless of the 2 siblings. When the call went out for volunteers for Project Zeus, he didn't hesitate. Captain, we need to be completely clear about what we're asking, Dr. Torres explained as Rex lay on the preparation table. Your consciousness will be uploaded into our quantum matrix. If successful, you'll have abilities beyond anything humans have ever possessed. If it fails, you'll die, and there won't be enough left of your brain to even attempt revival. Doc, my brother is out there facing ships that could destroy our entire fleet. If this gives us even a chance of protecting our people, I'm ready. The quantum chamber activated with a sound like reality itself, tearing. Energy patterns danced across the walls as Rex's consciousness was slowly digitized and uploaded into the experimental matrix. For 12 terrifying minutes, his vital signs flatlined while his brain patterns showed activity unlike anything the scientists had ever recorded. Then Rex Morrison opened his eyes, and they glowed with soft blue light. The quantum realm around them began to shift as Rex opened his consciousness to every ship in the system. Human and alien minds touched across the barriers of species and technology, sharing thoughts and experiences that had never been possible before. For the first time in 50,000 years, the contained species felt the touch of unlimited potential. The hegemony enforcers experienced the memories of expansion, exploration, and the terrible beauty of genuine progress. And humanity showed them all what was possible when a species refused to accept that growth and peace were mutually exclusive. "We're not asking you to abandon your principles," Rex said, his consciousness now addressing the entire hegemony fleet. "We're asking you to evolve them. Instead of containing species, help them grow responsibly. Instead of preventing expansion, guide it. Instead of maintaining stagnation, foster development." Ambassador Vextar's response came after several minutes of silence. "You're proposing to restructure a galactic order that has existed for 50 millennia. We're proposing to help it grow," Lisa replied. "The universe is vast enough for all of us to flourish, but only if we're willing to risk becoming something greater than what we are." The hegemony reinforcements arrived to find something unprecedented. Their advance fleet standing down, their weapons powered down, and their commanding officers engaged in the deepest philosophical discussion in galactic history. 6 months later, the first joint human hegemony colony was established on Kepler 186f. The planet's surface hosted representatives from 37 species, all working together to build something that had never existed before. A truly cooperative galactic civilization. Rex Morrison stood on the planet's surface in his physical form, his consciousness able to shift between quantum and matter states at will. Beside him, Ambassador Vexter had removed his environmental suit, breathing the planet's air for the first time in his 18,000-year lifespan. "Your species has changed everything," Vextar said, his mechanical voice carrying notes of wonder, not through conquest or submission, but through example. 17 species have requested to begin their own expansion programs. The Hegemony Council has agreed to oversee responsible development rather than complete containment. And the Zeus technology, we've established joint research facilities on 12 worlds. Human quantum consciousness techniques combined with hegemony stability protocols. We're calling it the Ascension Project." Rex smiled as he watched human children playing with young aliens from 6 different species. The sky above them was filled with ships from across the galaxy, all working together to build a future that none of them could have imagined alone. "You know what the best part is," Rex said. "This is just the beginning. Humanity's greatest strength isn't that we refuse to accept limits. It's that we inspire others to refuse them too." As the twin suns of Kepler 186f set behind the growing colony, Rex felt his consciousness touch the quantum realm where thousands of human and alien minds were working together to explore possibilities that had never existed before. The galaxy was vast, and for the first time in 50,000 years, all its children were free to grow into their potential. Humanity had been caged by an alien ultimatum, but in breaking free, they had freed every species in the galaxy. The age of containment was over. The age of unlimited potential had begun. Asterisk.